In this Learn Songs in Seconds, we're looking at Cheap Thrills by Sia. Firstly, I'll look at a kind of simplified version of doing this using just open chords. This will mean I've transposed it to a different key, but then after that what I'll do is look at playing it in the original key and trying to get a guitar sound as close to that as we can for a bit more authenticity and that sort of thing. Anyway, that's probably enough of me chatting about it, so let's start the timer and get into learning the song. For the simplified version, we're starting on an A minor chord. The rhythm goes like this. So to go into that a little bit, it's two dotted quarter notes followed by a normal quarter note. So a dotted note has got the note length value that's dotted and then half of that added on. So for example, the quarter note would be a quarter add an eighth. Now you could also write this as a quarter note tied to an eighth note or 3/8 notes tied together. This series isn't really about the theory, so I don't want to dwell on it too much, but it's worthwhile knowing. The main thing, however, is can you play the rhythm? And you probably can. It's a wee bit tricky because it's got a syncopated thing, but it's quite common in dance music, so if you listen to a bit of pop or the radio, you've probably heard this sort of thing before. The strumming pattern goes down, up, down. I'll do that again. Down, up, down. It's just this rhythm throughout the whole song, so it might take a wee while to get it, but once you've got it, that's it. The next chord here is an F major, same rhythm again. Down, up, down. I'll play those back to back and hopefully it'll make a bit more sense in terms of the rhythm and the continuity. And again. Right, next chord we've got a C, same rhythm again, and then a G, same rhythm. So I'll explain the rhythm over a beat of 4 here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Da 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 da. That's basically it, just continuing forevermore. Playing the full chord cycle together. The good news is it's pretty much that throughout the whole song. There are a few nuances and little things which I'll get into later. But if you want a blaggable version of the song, that's it in a nutshell. One of the nuances we could look at is muting the chords after we've played them. So instead of letting it ring, we'll go. So I'm doing a combination of things here. After I played the chord, I'm lifting up my fingers on my left hand so that they're not off the string, but they're not pushing it down, so you get that sort of sound if I was to strum them. I'm also using a bit of my palm to mute the chords after I've played them, so I'll try and slow it down. So there, you might have noticed this hand's coming up and muting the strings, also these fingers are lifting up a little bit. Right? Just doing the same thing on every other chord. It can be tricky using the down-up system doing this. If you just did all downs, it might make the muting a bit easier. Because you're just doing the same movement to mute every chord with your right hand instead of having to worry about ups or downs. As I've said, you can get away with playing the song by just doing those chords over and over again, but it's worthwhile having a bit of a look at the structure anyway. So what I've done here is I've said the intro is 6 bars, so this is the chords going without any music. After that we've got a verse which is 8 bars, and then the final bar is a pause, so you wouldn't play anything. So this is if you're kind of looking to get into the nuances of the song and get a bit more accurate. After that we've got what I've called a chorus for 4 bars and then a post-chorus for 8 bars. Now you could include the post-chorus and the chorus as one thing, but because one of them pops up by themselves later on, I split them. You could also call the chorus the pre-chorus and the post-chorus the chorus. The main thing is that you understand the structure, or if you're in a band situation, you all know what bit you're calling the same. There's nothing worse if someone's thinking the verse is the chorus and the chorus is the verse and the bridge is the post-chorus. It can get a total mess. So just make sure everyone involved is on the same page. After this it's essentially a repeat, so you've got the same length of verse with the pause in the 8th bar, you've got the chorus for the same length and then the post-chorus as well. You've got an interlude for 4 bars, a post-chorus of 8 bars, which I think of as a kind of quiet version, and the 8th bar being a rest. We then have a chorus for 4 bars, post-chorus for 8 bars, and then an outro for 6 bars. Now, when you're just playing the same chord progression, this does seem a bit unnecessary, but it can also help you keep track of where you are in the song, so you make sure you're ending at the right time instead of spilling over to the next bar or cutting it short. Now we'll have a look at playing it in the right key, because that's always a thing that's worthwhile doing. We're right quite high up here, so you might have a bit of difficulty depending on how your guitar is set up.
You could just stick a capo across the 9th fret and then use the same chords we used before, so you could have an A minor, the F, the C and the G. You could play them there, as I say, with a capo at the 9th, and it would all be fine. But what I'm going to look at here is playing the triads as they're played by the keyboard in the original, so it sounds a wee bit more authentic. You'd have... So if you know these open chords, you kind of know the shapes I'm doing already. I'm doing what would be 11, 11, 10. So starting on the D, then the G, and then the B. And what I'm doing is I'm just using my thumb and my first and second fingers. So my thumb is playing on the D string, my first finger on the G, and the second finger on the B. And I'm just pulling those up together. Then I move into what would be our F shape. It's in fact a D major here because we've moved up the neck. Got 12 on the D, 11 on the G, 10 on the B. We've got what is essentially a C shape, so you got 11 on the D, 9 on the G, 10 on the B. And then this would be a G shape if you were to play it like that, but we can just play these 3 notes here. So I've got 9, 9, 9 on the D, G and B strings. So that verse you'd have... I think you can add in as a bit of pan muting to make it sound a little bit more authentic again. Of course, if you're pan muting the verse, what you could do is strum the chorus to make it stand out and make it a bit more dynamic and a bit more like the original. What I'm doing there is I'm just playing the exact same triads, but I'm quite often using my first finger to choke out the other strings, so I can strum all of it, but you know, muting those strings and that one with my first finger. Same here, that's why my thumb's over the top to mute out those strings, thumb again for here, and then this one you could play like that, or you could play like that, whatever's easier. Now for the wild and crazy option. So I've switched to an electric guitar here. You could still do this on an acoustic, but I want to get a little bit of overdrive to show how you can use electric guitars for kind of synths and stuff as well. So I'm just playing the exact same chords, but I've got a few tricks going on here. One is I've got a delay, so I'll just scratch it so you can hear that. So you notice the delay is set to come in time with the chords would be. There's also a tiny little bit of phaser on if I just strum an open chord. You hear that wow thing going on. So that's just a little bit of modulation to make the guitar sound a wee bit more like the synth. For the verse, I'd either go for my middle pickup or I'd go for these two, splitting it because it's a much lower output. And if you pan mute it, you can get really quite cool. Obviously you can play it softer, or not pan mute it. Different pickup. And again, if I was playing that, what I would do for the chorus is I'd maybe go to the bridge or stay on the same pickup and just strum it. Alright, so we've got the basic version, capo version as well, coming in at 264, not bad. The more authentic version is slightly heftier, 488 seconds. A bit longer than I would have hoped, but it seemed really worthwhile to have a look at a few ideas on how to replicate modern EDM or pop music textures using the old 6-string twanger. So there you have it, how to play Cheap Thrills, both a kind of acoustic, easier version and a slightly more complicated one. Whichever you'd opt to do is up to you and sort of depends on the situation. In a band context, the higher sort of played one with the electric's probably going to sound quite cool and sit well in a mix. If you're playing by yourself at a barbecue or an open mic night, playing the chords are probably going to make more sense. I mean, like I said before, you could still do the chords with a capo up here if you wanted to keep it in the original key for the, you know, for the pitching for the vocals or anything. On a side note, this is the sort of song that would work really quite well as a loop station cover because of the nature of the cyclical chord progression. And by that I just mean those 4 chords that just repeat throughout the entire song. What that does is it lets you kind of build on things that are already there or take them out or do the dead stop and bring it in, and you could do that all quite well with the loop station. So as always, if this video has been useful for you, please consider to share, like, comment, subscribe if you feel so inclined. Cheers guys.